Have you noticed how fast your brain bounces between yesterday and tomorrow? Like, why did this happen? What if I fail? Why me? What if? It is literally a relentless, high-speed mental ping-pong match. Past regrets just smash into future anxieties, back and forth, over and over, then totally exhausting your emotional reserves before you've even had your morning coffee. So I've got to ask you directly, how do we actually stop this exhausting mental ping-pong match? Because based on the source material we're exploring today, this rubber band tug-of-war happens in mere milliseconds. You might not even realize you're doing it until you're completely drained. But hey, don't worry. There is a very practical, structured way out of this cycle. Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to this Explainer of the Personal Evaluation Program, or PEP. Developed by Robert Wallace, this program provides an incredibly actionable, highly visual toolkit for self-development and rapid mental regulation. We aren't talking about slogging through years of theory here. We're looking at cognitive tools designed to be understood and applied almost immediately. Here is our highly visual roadmap for today. First, target goals. Second, mind as a movie. Third, the memory bookshelf. Fourth, the power of today. And finally, understand before sharing. We're going to move sequentially from getting our internal emotions stabilized right outward to our interpersonal connections.
Section 1. The 3 target goals.
Before we can fix anything, we have to establish exactly what a healthy, regulated mind actually looks like in daily practice. We need to target to aim at, right? The source material uses some brilliant visualizations here that I want you to picture. First is balance. Picture yourself on a seesaw. Can you balance what you want with what you do on a daily basis? Second is congruence. Picture a set of equal parallel railroad tracks. Are you the exact same authentic person on the inside as you present on the outside? And third is regulation. Tell me, are you mostly standing upright with gentle, consistent pressure, or are you flapping wildly out of control like one of those inflatable tube men outside a used car dealership? The goal here is daily stabilization, not wind-blown chaos.
Moving on to Section 2. Your mind is a movie.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it transitions us to this fascinating concept. Memories are not absolute, objective truths carved in stone. They're actually constructed narratives. Think of them as editable movies that you project in your mind. Think about it for a second. When you recall a memory, you're sitting in the director's chair. You can change the color, you can slow the action down, you can zoom in on a specific detail, or zoom way out to watch it as a bystander. You can even cast yourself as the good guy or the bad guy. And this brilliantly illustrates a core rule of our psychology. Emotions always follow the narrative you're watching. So if you actively edit the elements of this mental movie, you can literally rewire your emotional responses to it. You aren't a captive to your past, you are its editor. Section 3, the memory bookshelf. And this brings us to a massive aha moment in our explainer, because our brains don't just make these memory movies and leave them scattered all over the floor. No, they categorize them onto a highly specific 3-tier metaphorical bookshelf. On the very top shelf, we have what are called temporary constructs. Think of these as flexible, flimsy paperback books. We use these memories temporarily, just to weigh our choices and figure out what we want. They are completely impermanent. Once you make a choice, you just toss the book out to make room for new ones. They're light, they're accessible, and they're super easy to swap out. Now, as we move down to the middle shelf, we find distributive constructs. This shelf holds your encyclopedia of decisions. These are associated memories grouped together primarily for your personal safety. It's basically a massive, cross-referenced survival guide of coping mechanisms. The tricky part here is that sometimes your brain mistakenly files completely unrelated memories right next to each other just to give you a false sense of safety, which makes them a bit harder to deconstruct. Finally, down on the bottom shelf, which is the absolute hardest one to reach, by the way, are the systemic constructs. These are your sacred texts. These heavy, permanent books contain your core belief systems, your deepest personal biases, and your deeply held ethics. They basically dictate your identity. And because they define who you fundamentally believe you are, these memories are incredibly fixed and very, very resistant to change. So, what does this all mean? The absolutely crucial takeaway is this. Change begins simply by identifying which shelf a memory sits on. If you can observe your own mind and recognize, oh, okay, this anxiety is just a top-shelf temporary construct, I can toss it, or wow, this resentment is tied to a bottom-shelf systemic belief about who I am, you gain incredible power. By categorizing the memory, you unlock the ability to actually adapt and overcome those self-defeating behaviors. Section 4, the power of today.
Okay, let's pivot from theory to practice. We have to stop looking at the past shelf and the future shelf and just ground ourselves entirely in the present moment. Why? Because the present is literally the only place where true action happens. To do this, we've got to grasp the profound difference between a choice and a decision. The source uses a great metaphor here. Imagine a mango sitting on a table. Pointing at that mango and saying, yeah, I want that one, is just a choice. It's a selection. But taking that mango, carrying it to the sink, washing it, peeling it, slicing it, and actually eating it, now that is a decision. Choices are just thoughts about what you want. Decisions are actions you actually take. And here is the magic number, 1. You only need to make one small, daily, action-based decision to start changing your life. By completing just one actionable decision a day, you build this cumulative, failure-proof momentum of success. It stops the ping-ponging. Because think about it, you can't be trapped in yesterday or tomorrow when your hands are busy washing and peeling today's mango. But what if those negative memories keep intruding? Well, the text offers a powerful, incredibly effective tool, and I really want you to hear this. No matter how dark the memory or how anxious the future feels, you must find something to be thankful for and bring it into today. Thankfulness is the ultimate vehicle to drive us out of past resentments. You simply cannot harbor deep anxiety or anger while actively maintaining a present state of genuine thankfulness. And that leads us to this absolutely beautiful realization from the text. To let go is to know today is enough. Letting go of the past isn't about erasing it. It's about realizing that all your joys, your successes, and even your struggles right now, in this 24-hour window, are enough. You don't need to borrow tomorrow's worries or replay yesterday's defeats. Today is enough. Section 5. Understanding before sharing. Let's move to and see how this builds, because once your own mind is regulated and balanced in the present, you have to interact with the people around you, right? The source introduces the US communication model. U stands for understand, and S stands for share. In a conflict, one person's only job is to listen, without interrupting, without bias, and without formulating a defense in their head until they completely understand the other person. Only after they can confirm, yes, I understand you, do the roles switch and they get to share. It feels a bit strict at first for sure, but it instantly eliminates that watery cross-feedback banter where two people are just talking at each other without actually listening. This is absolutely vital because human communication is fundamentally about making agreements. When an agreement is broken silently, you aren't just breaking a rule, you are fracturing three hidden pillars: mutual trust, a state of closeness, and the ability for open sharing. If you've ever wondered why a relationship suddenly feels cold after a seemingly minor broken promise, it's because those three foundational elements took a massive hit. Keeping agreements is exactly how we maintain connection. Which brings us to the ultimate purpose of this entire program. We don't just regulate our minds to feel better in a vacuum. The text makes it crystal clear the compassionate reason for our own emotional healing is so that others may benefit. We grow so that we can give. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. How will you use your newly regulated, thankful, and present mind to help someone else grow today?